Jason Wade graduated from Purdue University with a major in wildlife biology. He has worked for the Indiana Department of Natural Resources for 20 years as a property manager, private lands biologist, and GIS coordinator. He currently administers the Indiana Private Lands Access Program and is involved in the 2025 revision of the State Wildlife Action Plan. Thank you for joining us here today, Jason, and you can take it away.
Okay, thanks, Amy. Hopefully you can hear me and see my presentation. All looks
Looks
good.
great.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for having me here today to talk a little bit about the Indiana Private Lands Access Program, or as I'll probably refer to it throughout the rest of my talk as IPLA. It wouldn't be a good conservation program in the state if it didn't have a solid acronym. So I'll probably refer to it as IPLA from now on throughout the presentation. Again, if you have any questions, save them for the end. That's probably the best time so that we can get all the questions together all at once. So there we go. Okay, so if there's any hunters in the group listening today or watching today, I probably don't need to go over this slide, but I will anyway. So why a private lands access program in Indiana? And I think the map on the right there pretty much speaks for itself. That's a map of all of our public lands that are open for hunting access in Indiana. If you live anywhere in Indiana, other than a few locations, you don't have a lot of choices. If you live north of I-70, it's pretty slim pickings for public lands to find a hunting opportunity in this state. Those areas are overcrowded. What private lands we do have that's open for hunting are being gobbled up more and more with private leases, which are very expensive. People are moving to urban areas and they're still interested in hunting, but they're looking for areas that are closer to where they live. They're not maybe interested in driving an hour and a half, 2 hours to go to a public land spot where somebody may already be there in their spot kind of thing. They're just looking for more convenient places to hunt. So in 2017, as part of the Game Birds for Grasslands and Songbirds program, we started the Indiana Private Lands Access Program, which was called APPLE back in the day, if anybody remembers that. We used to call this program APPLE, and now it's IPLA. But this was just part of that GGS initiative that started back in 2017. So what does it offer landowners that sign up for this? The number one thing most people are interested in is money. And the more hunts a landowner offers, the more money they can make. There's a chart on the right there. We do survey our landowners every so often to ask them questions about why they sign up, what their experience is like, that kind of thing. And this chart's pretty interesting to me. It shows that financial incentives here certainly is important, and it ranks out here as the most important. And this is a select all that apply kind of question here. So a single landowner may have selected more than one of these. But money isn't like overwhelmingly an important thing, right? To provide wildlife habitat is important to all these people. To provide hunting opportunities for other people is important. To receive technical assistance to improve their habitat is important. So while money is certainly a driver for a lot of people, it's not the only thing. So IPLA does offer money for sure, but it also offers opportunity to do habitat improvement. There is a large pot of money associated with this that we can use to do habitat improvements. That type of money is very EQIP-like in the way it's allocated and the way it's kind of spent, what the rates look like. Unfortunately, as of right now, that habitat money cannot be used on anything that's already in an existing USDA program. So if someone's signing up a CRP or a WRE, that type of thing, those habitat monies cannot be piggybacked on top of that program. Hopefully this changes with the next VPA application, which I may talk about here in a little bit. And then finally, this IPLA offers priority access to our habitat teams. So we do have 2 habitat teams in Fish and Wildlife, one in the north, one in the south. And this is a group of a couple of guys that has access to pretty much any equipment they need, and they will go to your property and do your habitat work for you. If that's a native grass planting, a pollinator planting, maybe some food plots, spraying, any of that kind of stuff, they'll come and do the work for you. And being enrolled in IPLA moves you to the top of their list. So you're going to get first crack at their services. So who's a fit for IPLA? Well, IPLA is funded by the Voluntary Public Access grant through USDA. So the current VPA just expires here at the end of this year. And we're going to be looking to re-enroll or retool with a new VPA here shortly, depending on what happens with the next Farm Bill. But for now, landowners must be inside this focal region to the right. Most of our best landowners are people we already work with. Maybe we've done a management plan with them before. Maybe we've done a burn plan for them, provided them with some technical assistance already. We don't get a lot of cold calls from landowners wanting to join. I think we've had a couple, but most of these are people we've worked with before. Absentee landowners are usually a good fit for this program. It's a lot of times it's somebody who has a family farm or a 80, 100-acre woods. It's in the family, but it's 5 counties over from where they live. They only go over there once or twice a year. Those properties are usually a pretty good fit for this. Like I said before, the more hunts you're willing to offer, the more hunts a landowner is willing to offer, the more money you can make. We want to ensure a quality hunt for people who participate, for hunters that participate in the program. So we're going to usually scout the property out a little bit to make sure that there are adequate amount of whatever game you're signing up for. So we're probably not going to sign up a quail hunt in like, I don't know, what's a good example? Madison County. There's not a lot of quail there. That's not something we would probably do. We're gonna scout these properties to make sure that if we get somebody interested in hunting on that property, that they're going to have a reasonable opportunity to see the game that they're signing up for. And perhaps most importantly is we're trying to target land that's not already being hunted. The last thing we want to do is like push one hunter off of a property to allow another one on. We don't want to displace people who are already hunting there. So if a landowner's hunting his property and he's happy with allowing, maybe it's his family or friends or whoever hunts there already, that's great. We're happy that land's being hunted. We're kind of targeting the areas that right now are just kind of going unused from a hunting perspective. A little bit about IPLA. Like I said, it started in 2017, and we started with game birds only. And I've got a slide specific to game birds here in a little bit, but we definitely started with the hardest species to try to find places to hunt in Indiana, because it was tied to the GGS program. That's why we started with game birds. But if any of you who are pheasant or quail hunters in this state know, those species are tough to find anyways. And then you add on top of that, trying to find an area large enough to hunt that has those. And then add on top of that an area that's large enough that someone isn't already hunting or will allow you to hunt. It's really tough. But that's what we started with. So it only got easier from there. We added turkey hunts in spring 2020. We got our first VPA grant in 2020 as well. As you can see, it was a $750,000 grant. Most of that was for access. There's some TA and habitat money in there as well. But prior to 2020, we were using game bird stamp money to fund the program. So if any of you are game bird hunters, you know that when you buy a license to hunt game birds in Indiana, you also have to buy a separate game bird stamp. That money for the game bird stamp goes into a fund. That's what we were using to fund it. That's why, another reason why we started with game birds and turkeys, because those can both be funded with that game bird stamp money. But then in 2020, we transitioned almost fully to VPA money, and we're able to add waterfowl hunting in 2020, deer hunts in 2021, and small game hunts in 2022. When I say small game, I'm talking mostly squirrel and rabbits. And the charts there on the right just show how much the program's grown since we started. The acres enrolled has grown every year since we started. There is a little bit of stagnation in 2022 to 2023, and then again this year. And that's mostly just because we're pretty tapped out on money. So we're not really, at this point, with the VPA ending here and us being tapped out, waiting for the new VPA to come, we're just kind of trying to keep the program afloat for now until we can get the next round of funds. So we're just funding the existing areas that we have, not really looking for new ones the last couple of years. That's why there's a little stagnation there. And hunter participation kind of correlates, just as you would think, as acres go up, we have more hunters to participate. We tried a little different system in 2022 for registering hunters. Traditionally, we've done a reserve draw system where it's like a lottery system. People apply for the lottery and get drawn to hunt one of these properties. In 2022, we transitioned more to a first come, first serve system, and then decided we'd go back to the reserve draw system. So that's why there's that spike there in the hunter participation. So that's mostly about the program. I'm going to talk a little bit about the species we offer and what kind of results we've had to date. There's a lot of quotes on these slides from people that have participated. After you participate in a hunt, we ask that you do like a little online survey kind of thing that tells what you harvested, what you saw, what your experience was like, that kind of thing. So any quotes you see on here came straight from that. In fact, all the pictures came from that also. People can submit pictures of their hunts as part of that survey. So if you see typos and stuff in the quotes, it's because I usually just copy paste, and I don't like to change people's quotes, even if it's just a typo thing. I don't like messing with people's quotes. I like to keep it authentic to what they said. But game birds, as you can see in the chart here in the top left, goes all the way back to 2017. Like I said, game birds are a tough species to start with in this state. It's a tough species to hunt wild pheasant and quail anywhere in the state. So any harvest that we get there is great. More often than not, people just enjoy the experience of getting to go out, work with their dog on a piece of private land where they know nobody's going to bother them. Hopefully they get a chance to maybe flush a couple of birds, but even if not, they usually have a pretty good time either way. I will say the chart here at the bottom right, the how would you rate your experience on this hunt chart, that is one of our lowest average on how people rate it. For clarity, and this is for all the charts you'll see, the 5 is like the best, 1 is the worst. This probably points here on game bird hunts to like a quality hunt perception. Almost any hunt group, more than almost any hunt group, there's a wild variety of what people consider a quality hunt with game bird hunts. In the last 10 to 20 years, we've really trained our game bird hunters to think that a quality hunt is like a put-take hunt, because that's what we offer on most of our DNR properties, or even like a game preserve hunt where they're paying money to basically guarantee that they're gonna see birds. That's kind of what our more recent generation of hunters have been trained to expect. So when they get turned out on a piece of private property with wild birds, sometimes that hunt doesn't meet their expectations of what they would like to see as in terms of quality hunt. So that's why this average is a little bit lower. And I think there's some charts later that show overall people still enjoy the experience, that just maybe the quality of the hunt doesn't live up to their expectation. For turkey hunting, this was our second thing that we added in 2020. Again, consistent growth in the number of opportunities we've offered, the number of hunters that have participated. 2020, in this case, because turkey hunting happens in the spring, where all of our other hunts happen in the fall. In 2023 is when we use that first come, first serve system. So again, that's why you see the large spike there in turkey hunter participation. But overall, lots of great comments from turkey hunters. We offer a youth season, a youth only hunts during the youth season. We get lots of participation in that. Lots of youth have taken their first ever turkey as part of this program. So really happy with the results we have here. This is a really popular one for landowners to sign up for, because it's a pretty non-invasive hunting type. We only allow one person on a property at a time, and it's just turkey hunting has probably been one of the more successful things we've had in IPLA. What's next? Deer hunting. This is definitely the most popular hunting type in Indiana that we have. And as you can see from the chart there at the top right, the deer hunters love it. I mean, trying to find anywhere to deer hunt in Indiana where you're not going to stumble across somebody else, more than likely not going to stumble across somebody else like you would on public property, or not have to spend a bunch of money to guarantee that private access for yourself, is going to be super popular. So again, we offer a youth season with this. That's been really cool. All the pictures you see here are youth that have taken deer on some of these properties. We have actually 4 deer windows. We have a youth window, we have the early archery season, we have a firearm season, and then kind of that late muzzleloader / archery we group into a different window. So those are all different things that people can apply for. Waterfowl hunting. Waterfowl was one of the first ones we offer. This is another one that's really tough to find. People that have quality wetlands that they'll allow somebody to go waterfowl hunting on. So we don't have a ton of waterfowl properties. We may have like 6 or 7 total across the whole state. But people really like participating in it. Waterfowl hunters are a group that are always looking for somewhere different to hunt. For most waterfowl hunters, they're limited pretty much to public land in the state, and at that point, then they're limited to hoping to get in the draw, because a lot of the waterfowl hunting on public land is done through a draw system, either through the reserve draw system or through an on-property draw. So you have to be lucky, and then even when you're lucky, you still are going to encounter a lot of other people. So this is great. We've had some veterans groups that have participated in this. And people have really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's hard to find people that have the landowners that have the right opportunity here, but when they do, it's worked out really well. And I also have the small game stuff on here. We just started small game hunting a couple of years ago. So rabbits and squirrels. We used to not even pay for rabbits for small game. It used to be like kind of an add-on for some other hunts. And only recently we started paying a couple bucks an acre for people to allow some small game hunting if they choose. So this is hunter survey data. So this is a survey we send to hunters. This is a little bit old data. I think we've got another 50 or 60 hunters that have responded to this survey since, but I don't think the actual trends have changed at all. So the first one, I'll start left to right here, is just a simple satisfaction question, like how satisfied were you with your hunt experience? And really good. Top is extremely satisfied, all the way to the bottom is extremely dissatisfied. As managers, we always tend to ignore like how well we're doing up here, and we immediately go down here like, why are these people extremely dissatisfied? And I'm going to come back to that hunt quality perception thing here. I think this is purely a quality of hunt thing. It's not a reflection on the program in any way. I think it's just a hunt quality perception thing, because, and I'm going to skip all the way over to the far right, we ask a similar question: how likely are you to participate on an IPLA property if it was a different property, if it was offered again? And we get like basically no, extremely unlikely. So people like the process of the hunts. They like the hunts themselves. They just maybe didn't like that property they were on for whatever reason. And that's probably a quality thing. They just didn't see any game that day when they were out there. So yeah, the question in the middle is, how likely are you to participate on the same property? And we get a few more of these unlikelies, but when you move to a different property, it's pretty much gone. Landowners, what do landowners say about the property? How likely is it? On the left, I'm going to start with the chart on the left. How likely is it that you would recommend to a friend that they consider enrolling? I mean, every single one of them say likely, or extremely likely, or somewhat likely. So that says that they enjoy the program. They enjoy the money, obviously. They have a really good relationship with the biologist who enrolled them, and it seems to have worked out really well for them. And then second, how would you rate your overall satisfaction? Again, really good there. Like landowners like it. That's all these charts say. That's all I've got for now. Like I said, we're in the process of hopefully starting to write an application for the next VPA application whenever that comes along. We're still waiting to see what happens with Farm Bill stuff. So we'll see when that is exactly, but if you have any questions, you can ask your local district biologist or myself.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions for Jason? I will say, Jason, if you'd leave your slideshow up and maybe go back to about the third slide, we have a question from Jessica asking if the focal region is the white or the purple on that map.
Oh, sorry, that's wow. As a GIS, I consider myself a cartographer. That's a poor thing for me to do. The focal region is the purple on there. That I should definitely highlight that. Yes, focal
Great,
region is
thank
the
you.
purple.